What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I thought we'd do something a bit different and discuss the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF, ticker symbol ICLN, due to recent traction and definitely a lot of interest in this ETF. Firstly, since Biden has become the next president of the US, and second, again because of the new move towards renewable energy, which certainly the Clean Energy ETF would play a big part of. So we have quite a lot to get through in today's video. We will discuss why you should choose ICLN. We will have a look at my current position in this ETF, and we'll have a look at the 1-year chart. I'll also discuss the portfolio characteristics and holdings, exposure breakdown. We'll have a look at a few news articles that are relevant to today's video, and I'll also give my final thoughts on this ETF and my plans going forward with this also. One of the main reasons why I invested into the Global Clean Energy ETF was due to diversification. So I already hold Chevron and Exon Mobile, which are kind of the more old school style energy stocks, but it's no surprise and it's quite easy to even know that the Clean Energy ETF will certainly be the way forward in terms of renewable energy and also to have a cleaner overall environment. On the Global Clean Energy ETF site, we can see there are 3 reasons why you should pick this. Is exposure to companies that produce energy from solar, wind and other renewable sources of energy. Again, that is definitely the way forward. Targeted access to clean energy stocks from around the world. We'll discuss their breakdowns later in terms of weightings and exposure around the globe. And also, they use to express a global sector view. So as I stated, the main reason why I got into this clean energy ETF at the beginning was due to diversification and kind of thinking forward as well in terms of the next 5 to 10 years. I also hold the old school style energy stocks in the form of Chevron, which are up 24.9% in. And if we scroll up here, we also have Exxon Mobile. Again, we're up 37.74%. So I'm definitely quite happy with both of those positions. However, I only have a very small position in the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. We are up nearly 30%, which is very impressive, although we have a very small amount of capital invested at the moment. This is due to when I bought the company first day, it already soared about 5 to 10% within the first few hours. So I was trying to wait for a dip at that time, but the dip never came. It kept going up, which isn't bad either. So today I wanted to kind of look into this in more detail to see, are the current prices worthwhile? And if so, I'll be buying a lot more as I only have €20 or so invested at the moment. On the 1-year chart, we can see that this ETF has done quite well over the last 12 months. This time last year, it was sitting at about $12.43 a share. It then dropped down to about $8.33 in March. We all know the reason for that. But since March, it has went in an extremely good run. So it went from $8.33 all the way to, let's say, about $16.50. Then it went up to 21, had a dip again down to about 19.6. But since that dip, it has only went up, and it went up to highs at about $33 a share. And it's after going down slightly again to about $30.50 at current prices. If this was an individual stock and I saw a price action like this over a 1-year chart, I usually would not actually invest. I usually prefer to wait for a fairly large dip before dollar cost averaging to improve my position. But when it's in terms of an ETF, this is expected, as in there won't be any huge drastic dips because it holds so many companies. And we'll go into these companies in a bit more detail in a few minutes. So the main premise here would be that it's up so high over the last 12 months. It's nearly gone up 200 or 300% overall. But the fact of that is that this kind of ETF will only continue to go on an upward trajectory because, again, everyone knows that clean energy is the way forward. So the whole combined ETF with different wind, solar, water, etc., this will definitely kind of be only of benefit in your overall portfolio in the long term. As mentioned, this ETF currently holds 30 companies and has a PE ratio of 45.89. If we scroll down to their holdings, we can see that this is diversified across a few different sectors. For example, Plug Power being their highest company at the moment with 10.1% weighting. We have sectors in the top 10 companies in the industrials, IT, utilities, etc. If you want to have a look at the complete holdings of this ETF, you can simply go to iShares.com and go down to their holdings and click show all. So I'll leave that out of today's video as you could kind of go through this better yourself in terms of looking through which companies you'd be interested in this ETF. In terms of exposure breakdown, Another benefit of holding ETFs is that they are diversified across different sectors and countries. The top being the US, with no surprise there, being 35.76% of this overall ETF. We then have the likes of China, New Zealand, Denmark, and Spain making up the top 3 or 4 companies. But also we have a few more European countries in the form of Norway, France, Germany, Portugal, etc. And we have some South Americans in the form of Brazil. On Seeking Alpha, they have quite a good article here in terms of clean energy bets flood in to iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. And we can see as well that investors continue to snap up the iShares ETF as a catch-all bet on clean energy. Again, one of the main benefits of holding an ETF is that you get diversification across all the main stocks, within the US Senate going under Democratic control. The fund offers exposure to companies that produce energy from solar, wind, and other renewable sources, as we discussed. And we also discussed that the top 3 holdings was Plug Power, Enfys Energy, and Meridian Energy. The fund has more than doubled in value over the last year, which again we looked at the chart earlier, after a stretch over a few years of flat returns. One of the main reasons again is because of the presidential change from Trump to Biden, and this will be happening throughout this week as well, so it's definitely worthwhile keeping an eye on the share price of this ETF. We can see here as well that the Democratic sweep of both houses of the US Congress stoked a record flood of cash into the renewable energy sector company. The 6.2 billion iShares Global Clean Energy ETF lowered a record 691 million of inflows so far this week, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. The flood follows a strong Democratic showing in this week's runoff elections in Georgia, which tipped control of Senate President-elect Joe Biden's party. So that certainly will make a massive difference in the long run in terms of clean energy ETFs and stocks in particular in the US. In terms of my own investing, as you know, in my overall 30 company ETF, which is up 12.8% overall, usually I only dollar cost averaging companies that are down. I made a video at the start of last week where I'm going to invest further in the likes of Coca-Cola, Facebook, and McDonalds, due to all 3 being in the red at the moment. So that's a good chance dollar cost average. Just on screen as we have here, we can see Facebook is down 3%, again, which possesses great buying opportunities for long-term investors. But in terms of the Global Clean Energy ETF, because I only have €20 invested, and because of the long-term potential of this ETF, again, because renewable energy is certainly the way forward, I will definitely be investing more into this ETF. However, what I'm going to do first, as I stated, this week I'm going to be investing further into Facebook, McDonald's, and Coca-Cola, because they are all in the red at the moment. So I want to kind of get in there before they go back to parity. And then I want to see where this ETF is going to be after this week, once Biden takes over the US election office full time and Trump is completely out of the equation. It'll be interesting to see where the price is then. And I do feel that once Biden does become the official president, that there might be a small sell-off. So I'm going to kind of wait for that as well. So my plan will certainly be to buy a lot more of this ETF, especially because I only have €20 invested. And I am definitely going to be looking just when, even at this current prices, if there's a slight drop, I'll start to buy then. But definitely long term, I'm going to be lumping up in this iShares Global Clean Energy ETF. With all that being said, that brings the end to today's video. I just wanted to give a quick update and review of the Global Clean Energy ETF that I currently hold, albeit a small position. If you found this video anyway helpful or entertaining, it would be brilliant if you consider liking the video. And as always, if you're new around here, it'd be much appreciated if you consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much guys, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video.